Well, this is a first for us. Could you ever imagine there being a water problem? Think about this. Role playing as a principal. You're thinking to yourself, kids don't want to use the bathroom. What if it was an emergency? You would use a bucket. Then switching roles. Imagine yourself as a student using that, going to the bathroom, you're looking at that bucket and going, "Ain't no way I'm shitting in that bucket." Then imagine you come to your parents. Reverse the role play. Now imagine you as a parent are disgusted by this. You see a picture that your son has posted on social media. You're disgusted by it. You go to the Board of Education, the principal, and they tell you that it was his idea because of a water issue. Well, the email you're about to see went viral, and parents, as you're about to hear, say they should have shut down the school. As we continue looking at crisis in our classrooms, this is an issue that should have been dealt with and should have been always dealt with in the very first place. Here's Keith Daniels.
At Hollyburg Middle School in Dundalk, a daytime dilemma for students. With no water in the building Friday morning, questions over how to deal with bathroom breaks developed. Then a decision allegedly made by the principal, seen in this email sent internally to staff, leaked to the public, saying if there's a student who has a severe bathroom issue, we'll have a bucket they can use inside the bathroom. The email and photos then flooded social media, triggering bathroom backlash.
I saw it was all over Facebook. When I saw that, I said, there's no way that can be real.
Don Hendricks among parents perplexed over the idea of children using buckets in the bathroom.
At home, they use the bathroom, not in the school in a bucket. Now, if we're out in a campsite somewhere, going camping in the woods, different story. But it's only my family around. It's not everyone else around.
Chrissy Jackson,
I was in disbelief, first of all.
says when she learned about the principal's response to the water issue, she was at work, had her 10-year-old son picked up from school, who briefed her on the ordeal. Jackson on the phone with what he said.
His teacher told him at 10 o'clock in the morning they better go use the bathrooms now before they put the buckets in there, because then the whole school will only be able to use the bathrooms in the buckets for emergencies only, and they had teachers and the principal blocking all of the bathroom doors.
We reached out to Baltimore County school officials about the matter. A spokesperson responded with an email from the executive director of schools, saying in part, a water main break in the community caused very low water pressure at the school, which improved within an hour, and there was no impact on school operations or instruction. But for one parent,
My son was definitely impacted by it. He said, I was so happy that you sent somebody to pick me up because I really had to use the bathroom, and I wasn't going to use the bathroom in a bucket in the middle of the bathroom where other kids could be in there and see me.
well, school officials went on to say that restroom use during that outage was against the school system's acceptable practices, and they say they are investigating the matter. Reporting tonight, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
It's movie night, and what's movie night without Orville Redenbacher's mag?
Alright. Now, I got a lot to say. There's a lot I want to say with some common sense. Let's get to the comment section first. Why was the school even open when there wasn't any running water? Exactly, that goes to show you how much Baltimore County school system has changed over the decades. It's back goddamn decades ago. Schools in the area would have been closed, stuff like this. I guess now higher administrative people that are dumb and not concerned for the safety of the kids and staff. Much more cutting funding and raising taxes. Returning to California. Budget cuts from the governor. Look, if you've got a bathroom issue, you don't use a bucket. You close the bathroom system down. And if you're out camping, that's okay. I'm telling you, if you're out camping, That's all right. If you're camping out there, if you gotta use a bucket, then that's all right. But you don't use a bucket in a bathroom and block the fucking doors. How simple is it? It's common sense. We've lost common sense when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, shut down the school until they can figure out how to use the bathroom, or transfer over to a different school where they can still learn and then use a bathroom instead of holding it in for like 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. Then to use the bathroom. It's either transfer them to another school where they can use the bathroom, or shut down the school permanently and transfer them over to virtual learning. It's that simple. It is just that simple. And if it's not that simple, we wouldn't even be here talking about it. I wouldn't even be here. Alright. I hope you got a pen and paper out. When we come back, we're going to be taking a driving test, a specially designed driving test. But first, you're going to see two examples of drinking and driving, and we're going to compare the two. And we're also going to show an experiment linking these two. What happens when you combine drinking and sleeping? Drinking while driving and sleeping while driving. We're going to find out next, so please stay with us. You're on the road. There's heavy traffic. You're about to make a fatal decision when it comes to your life. Drinking and driving, or sleeping while driving. When you choose your behavior, you choose the consequences. Every time you get the car keys in, or you're about to make a fatal decision when it comes to your life. When your kids are in the back seat, and when you're driving. Or you're about to make that fatal decision. Do not take my word for it. Tonight, you're going to get out a pen and paper, because tonight we're going to be taking a test. You're going to be, by me, I mean you. You are going to be taking a test to determine if you can make that good decision or not to drink and drive. And it will be better on how well you score. So you better start watching this broadcast, because it could help save your life as we start to take the national driving test. This test can help change your mind and really raise some common sense when it comes to sleepy drivers and drunk drivers. What happens when you compare the both drivers? You're also going to see an experiment that can really show you what can happen if you're being put in front with a drunk driver and a sleepy driver. Here's Dennis Murphy.
For a lot of us, it's something they don't make enough of. Hours in the day, seconds in the minutes. We're squeezing time dry. How often have you done it? You look up from the desk, and it's way past quitting time. And the shortage of hours to cram our hectic lives into is literally killing some of us. Catching the last show doesn't sound like a life or death decision, or racing to catch the last flight home from vacation, but it just may be. Because so many of us are playing beat the clock, up before dawn, commuting in the dark, working hard, playing hard, that we're not even aware that at the end of a long, long day, we will likely make a fundamentally stupid decision and not even think twice about it, until someone like State Trooper William Carter looms up in our rear view.
When I'm looking at them and I'm behind them, I'm looking at the same thing. It's the same identical thing.
The veteran Virginia trooper is comparing you, the driver who's just a little drowsy, to the drunks on the road. You both weave across the line. You both speed. Both drive poorly.
It kind of scared me. I saw you go off the road to the right about 4 or 5 times. I'm sorry?
It's kind of tired.
Okay, you fall asleep?
It happens every night. Trooper Carter estimates 7 out of 10 times when he stops what he's sure is going to be a drunk driver. It's just someone who's tired.
haven't had a bit to drink, or maybe just a small amount to drink. He's half asleep or half asleep.
Dateline rode with Trooper Carter on his midnight patrol, and we quickly found his ratio of sleepies to drunks right on the money.
So I was kind of concerned about you. Everything okay?
Yeah, we're just real tired.
People were driving all over the road. People on their way home from work, or on their way to vacation spots. People who'd never think of driving drunk, but they just may as well have been.
We think it's okay, and we feel like I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm just sleeping. But it is a problem, and it's a major problem that could actually cause a fatality.
He's seen it all. Sleepy drivers off the road, in the trees, dazed, injured, deceased. So on his watch, anyone who looks tired gets pulled over. Tonight, like most, he hands out no tickets. He just expresses concern, trying to warn drivers the danger is very real.
You're going to have this happen more and more often, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to continue to get worse.
And it's hard to imagine it getting much worse than the accident that happened in College Station, Texas on a Saturday night last October.
Can you tell me how many people are injured?
I don't know. There's people out laying out on the road right now.
8 young people mowed down by a pickup truck as they walked on the shoulder of this highway. 6 of them died almost instantly. The pickup just missed 16-year-old Chase Bruton.
I mean, you feel the wind of the car going by and everything.
It was meant to be a big weekend of Texas A&M football and parties with Chase's older brother, Ted. But as they walked to a frat house party, the headlights came up behind them without warning, the pickup veering abruptly off the road. Screams, chaos. And suddenly, Chase was cradling his dying older brother in his arms.
He was just laying there, that's all I could do. Just sat and prayed for him, and me, my cousin, and her boyfriend and another girl came up, and we just sat and just waited.
We had seen he was breathing, but I think I knew he wasn't.
The 18-year-old driver who killed 6 that night had, according to the police accident report, fallen asleep at the wheel after getting only 5 hours of sleep the night before.
He didn't remember anything until he woke up here at the scene.
Sergeant Greg Lewis of the College Station Police has responded to hundreds of road accidents, but nothing approached the carnage he saw here.
It looked like a battlefield out here.
That bad.
That bad.
The sergeant showed us where they found shoes in the road. The victims had been hit with such force, some had literally been lifted right out of them. The sleepy driver had never even touched his brakes, carving a path of destruction almost 200 feet long, all in a few chilling seconds.
He would have traveled that distance in about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds.
You're kidding.
2 seconds from the start of this to the end of it. Approximately, yes.
All that mayhem and no alcohol or drugs involved. A grand jury considered charges of criminally negligent homicide against the driver, but decided there wasn't enough evidence to indict him.
I don't think I want to see him put in jail, but there has to be something. I mean, he's killed 6 people.
It just, well, he went to sleep. Okay, sorry. You guys go home.
For Mark and Ginger Bruton, the month since they lost their older son Ted, a 21-year-old brimming with life, have been draining. They worry about Chase, who now has to live with the awful memory of watching his own brother die. And they're troubled that most of us just don't regard driving sleepy as any big deal.
It seems like it's so harmless. But it's not, guys. It's not harmless. It's real. And it kills our kids.
And really, how easily might it have been any one of us behind the wheel that night? Sooner or later, almost all of us are going to drive sometime when we're feeling too tired. But do you ever think that making that simple decision to put the key into the ignition could be a deadly one? And yet, too often it is. In Texas alone, in the span of just 4 months last year, 11 deaths caused by drowsy driving. In Nevada this March, 8 killed when the driver of this van tumbled right off the highway. It happens to drivers of all ages, on the job and off. Studies show sleepy drivers cause at least 100,000 accidents a year, and the number may be 3 to 4 times that. No one really knows. The numbers frustrate Trooper Carter. It's easy for him to take the keys away from a drunk driver, but not a sleepy one. There's no counterpart to a breathalyzer or blood alcohol test. No way to force tired drivers off the road, which to him makes it a special menace.
I think it's just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than a person that's driving on the influence of drugs or even driving on the influence of alcohol. Because it's happened more often and we take it for granted.
Driving sleepy at least as dangerous as driving drunk? Well, what about that? With the help of the staff at the General Motors Desert Proving Ground in Mesa, Arizona,
Okay, I would love to be able to leave it there.
we set up an unusual test. A performance face-off between a group of drunk volunteers and a group of very sleepy volunteers. You're about to see something that has never been done before. And if you've ever wondered what it's really like to drive drunk, you're about to find out. Because our 13 cameras are going to take you for a wild ride. Let the experiment begin.
Ooh.
And ooh is right. When we come back, the experiment is going to begin. 13 cameras are in place, and you're going to be in for a bumpy ride. So get everything ready, get out your pen and paper, and stay with us. Welcome back to the National Give Me a Break driving test. How many people on that road do you think are drowsy or drunk? If you're one of those people that made that bad choice one of those bad choices years ago, do yourself a favor. Pull up a chair, get out a pen and paper, and watch this broadcast, because this test could help save your life, and this demonstration could really help you out here. And it could also really help save your family. The test is about to begin. And the experiment, which you're about to see, 13 cameras are in place, and you're going to be in for a bumpy ride. So buckle up, my friends. Again, Dennis Murphy.
Buckle up, because you've got the worst seat in the house. You're about to take a ride with some drunks at the wheel. Now, we all know that driving drunk is taboo, but you're about to see why at very close range. We're out in the desert at the General Motors Proving Ground near Phoenix.
Hey, Ian, where are you going?
And our drivers, 8 young volunteers, are getting road ready in decidedly unsafe fashion. Downing scotch, beer, and wine at 11 on a Sunday morning, all in the name of scientific experiment.
Okay.
Meet our bartenders, a blood alcohol expert and 2 Phoenix Police Lab specialists. When they get our volunteers just on or just over the brink of being legally drunk in most states, only then do they get the keys to the car.
You keep going like that,
The drivers know the test course. They drove it sober a week earlier. 1.4 miles of twisty, windy orange cones. The trick is to weave through without knocking any over. And sober, our 8 volunteers hit only 3. Basically, they aced it. But now that they're tipsy, how will they do? Well, believe it or not, some of them think they'll drive better.
When I drink a little bit, I'm more aware, because, I don't know, I just have that impression that I'm more careful in driving.
I feel I drive a lot better when I'm drinking.
Are they kidding themselves? We'll soon find out. Our 13 cameras will be your eyes and ears. Each driver has to make 3 laps, minding the speed limit and traffic signals. What's apparent right away is that our safe and sane drivers of a week before are less inhibited, looser, giggling, and not driving nearly as well. Each volunteer has a safety officer in the passenger seat. We asked GM test driver Brad Spee to monitor our drivers. They've been told that Brad will not talk or respond to their questions. And if the driving gets really woolly, he has a button by his side to activate the brakes. But at least for a little while, it looks as though he won't need it. The first few drivers run the course like slowpokes, almost creeping their way around.
Even our drivers using a go-slow strategy are in for a surprise. They don't realize it, but this isn't exactly the same course they drove when they were sober. Life has surprises, and in the real world, so does driving. And now so does this course. So they won't be anticipating the child's ball that will roll in front of their car, or the stuffed toy dog that's going to dart out in front of them, or this thing, Our pop-up car that will loom up suddenly in the roadway. Here's that dog on the left, hiding behind the pile of cones. Watch how driver Penny handles it.
Oh my god. They're trying to give me a heart attack, I just know it.
Our driver's startled, flustered, disoriented. And the group that was almost flawless on the cone count sober is now knocking them over. 8 times as many go down. Each cone is a driver off the roadway, who could be hurting himself or others.
That definitely was a lapse of consciousness as up for him.
Watching the drunk drivers very carefully is Dr. Nelson Powell, a surgeon and co-director of Stanford University's renowned sleep center. He's out here to see if he can put some solid science behind what the trooper in Virginia and others feel. That if you drive sleepy, you're every bit as dangerous as if you drive drunk.
This is 4 out of our 8, and nobody's made any major mistakes.
But soon we see reckless attitudes from our drunks, the kind that can quickly prove lethal on the road.
I felt like I had to drive a little bit faster to get through the course.
And take a look at Troy, a professional truck driver. Here he is driving sober, engrossed in the course, focused. But drunk, he's nonchalant and carefree, his hands loose on the wheel. Watch what happens when he encounters the dog.
I didn't really care. You know, I just wanted to go and drive. Should be aggressive kind of an age? Aggressive, very aggressive.
Then there are drivers who can see trouble, but can't adjust in time. Terry destroys our ball. It's history. He laughs, but on a real roadway, don't you expect a child to come running out after that ball? And the dog. Terry doesn't even try to evade it. He just drives right over it without missing a beat.
You know, it's just like surprising to me that I had no reaction to it. It's just, I saw it happen, but, you know, I had no reflex to react.
Wow, nothing.
And then there's Paul, who even brought along his own fancy glass for the occasion. The ball hits his car, cones go flying, and he barely flinches. This guy is zoned out, so no one is prepared for the emotions that follow this. After backing up, Paul ponders the dog's fate for a full minute, then gets out of the car and moves it to the side of the road. For Paul, whose girlfriend is a vet, it was all much too real.
Hey, Paul. Hey. You killed the dog.
I'm so sad about that, but I can't tell you.
You really a little emotional about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know it was a stuffed dog, but...
But I never ever want to hit an animal. Never.
Being overly emotional is a classic sign that you've had too much to drink.
Okay, next.
Cockiness is another. This is Milton, the young man who told us that he drives better when he's having it.
How do you feel?
I feel really good.
Yeah? How do you think you're going to do?
Sometimes you do real well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So much for that idea. Hold on. This drunk driver is about to take you on the wildest ride of the day. Lap 1. Cones go down so fast it's hard to see them. Tires screech on the very first turn. Then Milton puts pedal to the metal when the light turns green. Seconds later, more screeching, and all of this in less than a minute. Just listen to the wind wheel. This guy is flying. And look what's ahead. A pop-up car that Milton doesn't expect. Watch.
Oh, God.
The poor car, crafted so creatively by the General Motors staff, doesn't stand a chance. Milton crashes right through it, sending up smoke, and he thinks it's hilarious. Where did this come from? Here's a comparison. That's sober Milton on the left, drunk Milton on the right. This is a different guy, right down to the cool sunglasses and the bright orange shirt. From sober and subdued to cocky, aggressive, dangerous. Now nothing phases him. Lap 2, he's off, whipping around again. This time too fast. He comes flying into this tight turn with disastrous results. And that only gets Milton more pumped. He is out of control. As he approaches dog country, more tire screeching. It looks like curtains for the dog. But no, he pops out way too early this time, giving Milton a big break. But our drunk isn't done yet. On to lap 3.
You can't say that we didn't have an aggressive driver in this group.
No.
From the sidelines, Milton looks nothing less than reckless. But inside the car, he just laughs and plows on with his dizzying ride. 50 miles an hour, twice the speed limit, and he's toying with the radio, the blaring music giving him more juice. On this last lap, he again peels out at the light. Then makes another lightning-fast, wild spin around the course. Wrapping it all up with a signature stop. For our safety officer, Brad, that was one hair-raising drive. But keep your eye on Milton as he describes it.
I almost stopped it a couple times. It was close.
Let me make you a trooper. You write him up?
I absolutely. Yep. In jail.
Breathalyze him.
Yes.
He's in the tank.
He's in the tank.
Honestly, I feel a little bit drunk, but I see no problem with the way I drove.
You ran over our pop-up target. Did you see that? You remember hitting something over here? Something on the road?
Yeah. But that was like, I didn't see that.
And what was the most startling thing about Milton's wild ride? Neither he nor any of the other drivers on our course were falling down drunk. In fact, on the breathalyzer, some wouldn't even be considered legally drunk. Remember Terry? He killed both the dog and the ball, and told us afterwards his reflexes were shot. But his blood alcohol level was only 0.08. That puts him well below the 0.10 level that makes you too drunk to drive in 33 states. And the same for Milton. Incredibly, he too had a reading that hovered only around 0.08. It's a troubling and revealing reminder that you can be technically legal and still be a menace on the road. But is this as bad as it gets? Our sleep expert, Dr. Powell, who's been taking it all in, keeping meticulous notes, doesn't think so. He thinks you should be feared every bit as much if you hit the road without enough sleep.
Respect sleep just like you would respect, high levels of alcohol or too many drinks.
Is that dangerous?
That dangerous.
Put your seatbelt back on, because some very sleepy drivers are taking you out for a spin next.
When we return, the drunks are done, but the sleepiness is just beginning. You're about to take a ride with some sleepy drivers. Don't go away. Bill A. movie on up all night with the baby, playing too much video games, not getting enough sleep, not getting that full 8 hours of rest. Maybe the subject of a sleepy driver. Put yourself in the front seat as we continue this Give Me a Break national driving test. Here again, Dennis Murphy.
What is the deal with these accident-prone drivers? Drunks? Nope. Too little sleep.
So that's a performance when someone has been awake for 31 hours.
We're still out at GM's Desert Proving Ground, and sleep expert Dr. Nelson Powell is carefully watching another round of volunteer drivers. Not drunks this time, but some very tired people behind the wheel. And you're a passenger.
It's going to be a rough crowd.
Our 8 volunteers are groggy and cranky. We've kept 4 of them up all night, and they feel ratty. No surprise there.
Rough kiddo.
But we asked the other 4 to do something that millions of us do all the time. Get less sleep than we should. In the week before the test, they had to make do with only 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night.
How easily could this be you? Most of us are so used to getting by on less sleep than we need, we don't even think about it, much less realize what it's doing to us. By day 5, 2 long days before they have to hit the road, Natalie, like the others, is shocked.
Feeling like I'm moving in slow motion, almost in a fog as each day progresses.
It's going to be an eye-opener for all of us.
The sleepy drivers have a test course a little longer than the one set out for the drunks. 2.6 miles, with the addition of a long, monotonous highway-like loop. Like the volunteer drunks, the sleepies had driven their course before. When they were fully rested, they found the 30-minute drive so easy they were bored to tears.
Well, yeah, I could probably do it like with my eyes closed now if I had to.
Really?
Yeah.
But that was before they turned into sleepy zombies. We've kept the all-nighters up watching TV. And by 7 a.m., our 4 night owls are not looking forward to hitting the road. But here they go, with our cameras taking you along for the ride, and GM safety officer Brian Gargiulo riding silently in the passenger seat as a precaution. Gail has a new baby at home and is used to losing sleep. But this all-nighter is too much for her. She turns into robo-driver, her heavy leaning back again and again.
I wanted to close my eyes. I really did.
And she's not the only one. This is Anthony at the wheel, a professional truck driver.
He told us last week he could do this blindfolded.
Not likely. Just as in the drunk driver's course, this one now has a few surprises. Here, a carefully camouflaged GM worker quickly hides our stuffed dog behind some brush, then crouches in waiting, ready to yank it across the road on a piece of string. Watch what happens. Anthony isn't paying attention, and the dog gets nailed. But that's not all. Check out our face cam. It catches our trucker actually driving with his eyes closed more than once.
This would be a nightmare driving over the road. After hitting the dog, like, okay, stop, take a break. You're too tired to drive, because that could have been a kid that I never saw.
And take a look at Janine. Her eyes are barely open. This is scary. She really is more asleep than awake. Closing those eyes so many times, it's hard to keep count. So out of it, that after a desperate 22-minute struggle, she just gives up.
What happened? You brought it in early?
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of car sick and lightheaded, and in real life I probably would have pulled over a while ago.
What about Andrew, the last of our all-nighters? He's cool, thinking like a commuter. A quick 30-minute drive, a route he knows, no big deal.
And drive much more safely when I know that I'm tired.
Even after he's been up for 31 hours straight.
Were those eyes open, Andrew?
Just resting my back.
He's still talking piece of cake.
Bring it on.
Expectations?
I don't think it'll be that difficult.
But in the car, it's obvious right away that the guy who was so convinced he could pull this off is in trouble.
I thought he was going to have plenty of time to stop.
Andrew squashes the ball flat. He's startled for a moment, and then slips right back into his expressionless haze. He hits our dog, too, with no attempt to evade it. When it's all over, Andrew collapses, all too happy the clock has run out.
It just wore on me towards the end. There was adrenaline at the beginning, and it wasn't that bad, but at the end I wanted to pull over and take a nap.
So our 4 volunteers who pulled all-nighters drove just about as badly as they felt. And maybe that's no surprise. But how's our second group going to do? Now remember, they've been scraping by with 2 to 3 hours less sleep every night for the past week. A lot of people do that, and for weeks on end at a time. Is that regular loss of sleep going to show up here in performance at the track? And what will our cameras show us?
Chris is the first of our sleep-deprived drivers. He's gotten only 5 hours of sleep a night. And we know he didn't cheat, because like the rest of his group, he's been wearing this ultra-smart watch all week that tracks his body movements. But he has a strategy. He thinks he can stay awake by talking to himself.
Sweet! That's what I'm talking about.
Only in the final 7 minutes of his drive does Chris finally stop chattering and begin slowly fading. Still, he holds up.
Woohoo! It seemed alright to me. I didn't kill anybody.
Jason starts out his spin like a stand-up comic, wired. But less than a minute into his drive, he's trying to shake off the Sandman. Here's the ball. Jason hits it, keeps going, and then creams it again.
He's dead. Oh my God, I killed him.
Take a look at Jason driving fully rested. Now, after getting only 5 hours of sleep a night, his eyelids droop. They want to close. Then yawns. A driver on the verge of falling asleep.
I just was driving. I didn't even pay attention to anything. I'm just like, okay, I'm going.
Sleepy. And feeling tired.
Natalie's been getting 4 hours of sleep a night, and she looks like she's in a stupor. She's on autopilot, hitting cone after cone without a hint of reaction. And she's got those scary 1,000-pound eyelids, too. Blink. Blink. The blinks just keep on coming. Scientists even have a name for this state. It's called microsleep, and you don't want to be in it when you're driving. Remember, in Texas, that driver closed his eyes for only seconds and killed 6 people.
After I hit a few cones also, I thought, uh-oh, I heard him, and I thought, okay, I gotta stay awake, I gotta do this. And, but I could tell that, it just kept going back into the wanting to sleep phase.
Last up, Victoria. Now, she's had a rough week. After 2 nights of sleep loss, she had a memory short circuit at work.
I couldn't remember the security code, and it's never happened before, and it's something that I just memorized.
By day 6, she's in a total haze, but her confidence isn't shaken. She still thinks driving will be a breeze.
I honestly think I'll do good. I don't know. I just think I will. That's all.
Hardly. Just look. Gone is the alert Focus driver we saw a week earlier. This time, Victoria wanders back and forth across the yellow line and into cone after cone, driving just like one of our drunk drivers. And watch this. She has plenty of time to see the pop-up car. But ooh, that was breathtakingly close.
If she hit a curb like that, just flipped it, she could catch the wheel, turn the wheel, basically go over the curb, maybe lose control.
And there's this. Our face cam shows Victoria clearly reacting to our dog. But in the ozone of sleep deprivation, she's not sure it was there at all.
Did you see the dog? A dog run in front of you?
I think so. If it was gray, I thought it was my imagination.
Good those eyes did, huh?
I know.
You want to be her passenger?
No way.
A month after our big driving test, we met our sleep expert back at Stanford University to show him what even his observing eye couldn't see from the sidelines. The revealing tape caught by our car cameras.
If you put her on a long stretch of a highway for an hour driving, I'm absolutely sure she'd be in the ditch.
What Dr. Powell sees convinces him that even a few hours of sleep loss can make you too tired to drive. And what if our groggy volunteers had been driving at night, or not just for 30 minutes, but for a few hours?
I doubt that any of those subjects would have gotten through 2.5 hours worth of boring driving.
So they really would have been a menace to themselves and others.
Right. And yet that menace is on the highways daily, nightly.
As for our drunk drivers, he calls some of them downright frightening.
We remember Milton, don't we?
Oh, do we? He's out there having fun and gonna mow down the course. I mean, I think that's the alcohol.
But all along, Dr. Powell was doing more than just teaching drivers out in the desert. He and his team were busy collecting data from the volunteers with these handheld devices that can clock reaction time right down to the millisecond. He compared the sleepies to the drunks, and now feels confident he can say with scientific certainty,
the sleepy drivers were the same as the drunk drivers.
So it is as dangerous to yourself and others to drive sleepy as it is to drive with clearly too much alcohol.
That's correct. I would ride with a drunk faster than I would one of those people that were sleepy.
Come on, really?
Absolutely. I could always probably convince the drunk to stop. The sleepy person's going to say, "Ah, no, I'm fine, I'm doing fine. Let me turn on the radio. Let me open the window."
Or we can add a few others. How about pulling over for a cup of coffee? Or maybe taking a quick nap on the side of the road? Good advice or urban folklore? Get out a pen and paper, because when we come back, we're taking the Dateline driving test. Could you be a dangerous driver and not even know it?
No? Well, get out the pen. You're about to find out how the decisions you make throughout your day, without even thinking about it, could put you at risk.
Alright, if you're ready, get out the pen and paper. When we come back, we're going to be taking the test. And it could help you out. It could help you and change your mind before you get behind the wheel. So before you get behind the wheel, get your pen and get your paper. Write the questions and write your answer out. Take a short break here, and we'll take the test when we come back. Stay with us. We've shown you what happens to sleepy drivers and drunk drivers. Are you ready to take the test? Do you have your pen and paper out? Get out a pen and paper. If you don't have a pen and paper, you should have done it when we took a break. Do you have your pen and paper out? You better. You better start listening very good, because this episode could really help you change your mind and really raise some common sense. We'll watch the report. We'll recap the questions. And then we'll take a break, and then we'll do the scoring system. Here's Dennis Murphy.
Question 1. Do you get drowsy after meals? A. Rarely. B. Often after breakfast or dinner. C. Often after lunch. If you picked A, give yourself 0 points. B. 10 points. C. 20 points. Why so many points if you get drowsy after lunch? If you're getting enough sleep, you shouldn't get sleepy after any meal, especially lunch. 2. How long does it take you to fall asleep? A. 10 to 15 minutes. B. 20 minutes or more. C. 5 minutes or less, as soon as your head hits the pillow. If you pick A, add 0 points. B. 10. C. 20. Falling asleep as soon as your head hits the pillow is actually a bad sign. It should take you 10 to 15 minutes. If it's less, you are seriously sleep deprived and at very high risk for falling asleep at the wheel. 3. On weekends, do you A. sleep the same number of hours as during the week? B. Sleep longer. If you pick A, add 0 points. B. 10. If you have to sleep longer on the weekends, you have what's called a sleep debt, and your body's trying to catch up on the sleep you've cheated yourself out of all week. 4. How many nights a week do you feel as though you don't get enough sleep? A. 0 to 2 nights. B. 3 to 4. C. 5 to 7. If you pick A, add 5 points. B. 10. C. 20. Why? Well, as the nights add up, so does your sleep debt, and the more hazardous you become on the road. 5. In the morning, do you A. get up without an alarm clock? B. Need an alarm clock to wake up? C. Have to keep hitting the snooze button? If you pick A, add 0 points. B. 5. C. 10.
More difficult to buy presents for them.
If you're getting enough sleep, you should be able to wake up without the help of an alarm clock. If you have to keep hitting the snooze button, you're not getting enough shut-eye. 6. This time you can pick more than one answer. Pick all that apply. Do you get sleepy, A, only at bedtime? B, on airplanes or as a passenger in a car? C, reading or watching TV? D, in meetings or at the movies? E, stopped in traffic. If you pick A, add 0 points. B, 5. C, 10. D or E, 20 each. So why all the points for feeling drowsy at the movies? Well, believe it or not, most adults do need 8 hours of sleep. If you feel drowsy during the day, you're not getting enough sleep. And if you feel drowsy at the movies or someplace with a lot of activity, then take it as a warning sign. You're definitely not getting enough sleep. 7. Do you snore? A, never. B, sometimes. C, often and so loudly that your partner complains or leaves the bedroom. If you pick A, add 0 points. B, 5. C, 20. If you snore a lot, there's a good possibility you actually have a sleep disorder. An astounding 30 million Americans have sleep disorders they don't even know about.
8. What is your age? If you're A, 16 to 29, add 20 points. B, 30 to 60, add 10. C, 61 or older, add 0. That's because the younger you are, the more sleep you need. 9. You've just finished work, you're beat, and you've got a long drive home ahead of you. What would you do? A, hit the road right away. B, try to relax a little by stopping for one quick nightcap. C, stop for a meal that might include a couple of drinks, but not enough to make you drunk. If you pick A, add 5 points. B or C, 20. If your strategy is to use a little alcohol for an extra burst of energy, you've got the wrong idea. In fact, sleepiness and alcohol make a deadly combination. When you're tired, having even one drink is dangerous. It can make you feel and act as though you've had 3 or 4, and that spells disaster on the road. 10. Is your drive home A, very short, or you don't drive to work? B, mostly country roads? C, mostly city roads? D, mostly suburban roads? E, mostly freeways? If you pick A, add 0 points. B, C, or D, 10. E, 20. When you're tired, boring drives, especially long stretches of freeway, make you especially vulnerable to dozing off behind the wheel. 11. It's late on a Friday night and you've got a 6-hour drive to get to your vacation spot by Saturday morning. What would you do? A, get a good night's sleep and wait until morning to hit the road. B, take a nap, then get up at 3 a.m. to make the drive. C, drive through the night. If you pick A, add 0 points. B or C, 20. Driving all night is never a good idea. Your body thinks it should be asleep, and your reaction ability is likely to be off. And even getting up at 3 a.m. isn't smart. Most people's body clocks don't wind up again until after about 6 a.m. 12. You're on the road, making that long trip, and you feel a little sleepy, so you pull over to grab some food. What do you get? A, just a cup or two of coffee. B, fast food like hamburgers and fries. C, sugar-loaded snacks. D, a full meal. If you pick A, add 5 points. B, C, or D, 10. Surprise! It makes no difference what kind of food you choose. None of it will help keep you awake. And sorry, caffeine junkies, whether you get it from espresso, soda, or pills, it just won't work either. 2 cups might jolt you awake for about 30 minutes. But because caffeine content varies so much and everyone reacts differently to it, relying on it is a huge gamble.
And the problem is, if you start talking about how many cups of coffee does it take to keep you going, you may have underestimated it, not taken enough, and you may not make it home.
13. You're back on the road and still feel tired, so you try turning up the radio. What do you listen to? A, something mellow. B, something loud and energetic. C, a talk show or sports game. D, you leave the radio off. Whichever answer you picked, A, B, C, or D, add 20 points. Why are these all the same? Because like food, the radio will do absolutely nothing to keep you awake, no matter what you listen to. You may be jolted awake temporarily, but as soon as your body adjusts to the noise level, your sleepiness will take over again. 14. Again, you can pick more than one answer here. Pick all the ones that apply. When you feel tired on the road, what do you usually do to stay awake? A, pull over to take a short walk or do some roadside exercise. B, slap your face. C, talk or sing to yourself. D, blast the air conditioning. E, open the window. If you pick A, add 10 points. B, C, D, or E, add 20 for each. Sorry, none of these commonly used tricks work either. And although pulling over for some exercise will at least get you off the road, as soon as you get back in the car, you'll start feeling sleepy again. And finally, our last test question. It's now 2 hours into your drive. You've still got 4 hours to go. You're feeling very tired. Your eyes are getting heavy, and you even feel your head bob. What would you do? A, pull over a nap for 30 to 45 minutes. B, pull over for a quick cat nap. C, get off the road for a few minutes. If you pick A, add 5 points. B, 10.
C, 20. The truth is, if you waited this long to get off the road, it's too late. As soon as you start feeling tired, you need to pull over and take a good long nap. When you're this tired, you should never be behind the wheel.
When those eyes start going down and the head starts nodding, it means that sooner or later, and probably sooner, it'll happen and you will not wake back up. Sleep will overtake you like a seizure, and you have nothing to say about it.
So how'd you do? Add up your points, and when we come back, we'll tell you what your score means and how you compare to our online viewers.
So, how well did you do? Start remembering. Circle it down and remember those points. Add up your points. And when we come back, we're going to tell you what your score means and how you compare with the Dateline online viewers. Even if you would have watched this episode. If we were to do it live or do it at Grace Community Church, if I ever did that, then, it'd be a whole different show. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Have you had time to add up your points? Or do you think you really get your 8 hours full rest? Do you really think you're not drunk? Well, let Stone Phillips explain.
You've had some time now to add up your points in our driving test. If you scored 0 to 75, experts say you're at minimal risk for falling asleep at the wheel. 80 to 150, moderate risk. 155 to 375, severe. Here's how our online viewers scored. As you compare your score, remember, if you're on the road and your head starts dropping, you may already be headed for trouble. So be aware of other danger signs, like scattered, disconnected thoughts, or not being able to recall the last few miles. The only safe thing to do is pull over and take a nap. Experts tell us a 20-minute nap will buy you about 30 minutes of drive time. You can find our test on our website, along with information about sleepy and drunk driving. Our address is dateline.msnbc.com.
So what does the test tell you? I mean, you're sitting there saying, you're calling me a sleepy driver, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I never sleep. No, this is a test to design whether or not you get minimal. Let me replay what Stone said. But I think you guys are confused. I think y'all are confused.
155 to 375. Scored 0 to 75. Experts say you're at minimal risk for fall.
So if you're 0 to 75, you're at minimal risk.
Asleep at the wheel. 80 to 150.
80 to 150, you're at moderate.
Moderate risk. 155 to 375. Severe.
And if you're over this amount here, you're severe right here. So if you're at 375, you're at the severe level. And you hope to get up here. This is where my hand is right here. This is where you need to be. And this is where I recommend. You need to be right here. If you're not right here, if you're right here, not right here, and you're at the bottom here, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. What would your parents ever tell you? What would your kids tell you? What if it was your child in the back seat and you're like all swerving, you're driving, you're falling asleep, and you hit a kid, you hit a car, you hit that ball, poof. What the fuck did you just do? You might be asking me, what can I do to make sure I get my 4 hours of rest? Well, depending on your age, is the amount of sleep that you need. The amount of sleep you need is 8 hours of rest. 8 hours of rest a night. And if you're going to be on the road, then just pull over, take a 20-minute nap. Caffeine drinks, energy drinks, fuck them. They don't do shit. You see the commercial for 5-hour energies? Fuck them. No 5-hour energies, no nothing. You take sleeping medications that can help you fall asleep, hey, I don't care what you do. Take them. If you're prescribed melatonin, take melatonin. Clonidine, if you're prescribed clonidine like I was, take it. I don't give a shit. Don't be at the bottom. Don't be at these two right here. Be at the minimal side. That is where you need to be. If you're not there, if you're here, you're okay. If you're down here, that is not okay. And you're setting a bad example for your child. And surprisingly, from years ago, look at this.
So be aware of other dangers. Online view.
Look at this. 68% of you people, yeah. Y'all who took that test, you know who you are. Those 68, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Get your ass to sleep. Get your 8 hours of rest. Pull over if you need to. 31? It may be okay. 31? Moderate? That's somewhat. I'm not throwing you under the bus. 1%? Words cannot express how I feel. You're the only person out there that does not set that good example here. So what is it that I need to do? Set a better example. You got one person right there that you voted? You gotta set a better example, bro. While the rest of these bitches right here will be spending their lives in jail and getting their brains tested. I want to make it very clear. Y'all are very good drivers. So we're not throwing you under the bus. Y'all are great drivers. So don't be looking at this episode and thinking, oh, he just threw us under the bus. Bus meet the sleepy drivers. Bus meet the drunk drivers. We're not throwing you under the bus. We are stating facts and common sense. And if this test does not help you out, I don't know what to believe. I really don't know what to believe. Finally tonight, we're going to be switching gears now. You may remember we told you about TikTok being banned. Well, the Supreme Court ruled. The Supreme Court said go ahead with the ban. So, all the Supreme Court's hearing arguments. Heard the arguments. And now, starting on Sunday, TikTok will be banned. And there's other apps you can use like we talked about. You have RedNote, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have YouTube. There's also two other apps. There's Lemon8, and there's another one. There's another app I couldn't explain. I don't remember. It was Clapper, and there's RedNote. If you know all those three, it will really help you out here. So tomorrow, we're going to tell you we're going to explain what can lead into this ban, and what can happen if you still have TikTok. Why that story for you come up tomorrow. So, again, we're not throwing drivers under the bus. We're basically saying some common sense here, and I really hope you can share this video with all your friends. Let's end drunk driving. Let's put sleeping back on the road. Because I hate sleeping and I hate driving. It's the only reason I don't drive. $30 online, take a driving test. You have better luck than taking a traffic school. Just know better. Drunk driving, call Uber, call Lyft. Have a keychain breathalyzer. You can buy those on the internet. Sleep. 8 hours a day. 8 hours a night. Sorry. 8 hours a night. 8 hours a night of sleep. Doesn't matter. It's something your parents should have told you when you were growing up. That's all I gotta say here. So, once you take the test and compare your score with the Dateline viewers, you'll thank me later. And if we have a town hall meeting outside Grace Community Church, we will be having a discussion all about this issue. Actually, I have to talk to Joe Kramer about that. But if that ever happens, it'd be like a Give Me a Break town hall meeting. Probably will never happen. But inspired by Nightlight. Well, that's all for this special edition of Give Me a Break Friday. Going to Saturday. We'll see you again for a special Give Me a Break Saturday night. For all of us here at YouTube, Give Me a Break. Stop bullying, speak up, cut straight, not strength. No jaywalking. You have a good night. And no drunk driving, and get your full 8 hours of rest. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Get your 8 hours of rest, bitch. you better know it. No drunk driving, otherwise you'll be sent in that fucking cell. Hear my words. Good night.